Hey everyone, it's Charles. Oh no, she's kicking the mic. Hey everyone, it's Charles. How are you today? Yes, it's true. I'm finally a Pokedad. So let's kick off today's Q&A Daddy special by introducing you to my daughter, codename Magby. Say hi, codename Magby. Okay, thank you. She's actually about 4.5 months old now, and what's crazy is that she came out ahead of schedule just a day after we finished Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, so a pretty close call right there. And I've got to say that even though it's been pretty crazy ever since, being a dad is definitely the best thing that's ever happened to me. I mean, being a dad is kind of like being a new Pokemon trainer. Not just because every day brings the kind of tough battles that made Ash's dad head out for milk and never come back, but because you also get to see this little creature growing and changing day by day, and there's just nothing that makes me happier than seeing that beautiful smile. Not even hatching shinies. Anyways, today I'm answering all your questions about dad life, Pokemon life lessons, a fascinating Pokemon mystery you've probably never heard of, and more. So the first question is, life update, where you're living now, and what are the differences between being a dad in Canada and a dad in Japan? Actually, I didn't become a dad until quite some time after we got to Canada, so I can't exactly speak to being a dad in Japan from personal experience, but from what I can see, Canada does have way better support for raising kids, not to mention that my parents live here, which is just super helpful. And even though I miss so many things about Japan, from the safety to the delicious cheap food, to the rich history and culture, to the anime stuff, to the Pokemon stuff, to the stunning forest around my house up on the mountain, I guess I'm just so focused on codename Magby right now that I would be happy living anywhere unless it was in a tent on an iceberg or something like that. What? You're a dad now? Congrats. Also, what's one life lesson you learned from Pokemon? Pokemon has so many awesome life lessons, like never giving up no matter how tough things get, or how much you can better yourself by supporting your companions or finding good rivals. But one of my favorites is the importance of just setting up these big, meaningful goals. Not just because achieving the goals in your life is a good thing, but because setting up big goals is basically like setting up lampposts to guide you through the uncertainties and the tough times in life. I mean, just look at the Pokemon video games. You aim for the 8 badges, the Elite Four, and the Champion, and it gives your in-game life direction and purpose. While without those goals, you'd probably just be wandering around the bush like Brock's dad. And in real life, even if it does take you a while to achieve your goals, it's the adventure, the tough times you go through, the growth, and what you learn on the way there that actually makes you who you are. And that's the biggest reason why setting these goals is so important. Ash himself is a great example of this. For years and years, he aims to win a Pokemon League, and even though he fails over and over again, it's these experiences and the journey they take him on that ultimately makes him a champion. So when he finally does become world champion, it isn't just about the win, it's about the friendships, the experiences, and the personal development that get him there. And even though he makes it to the top of the world, after winning he just sets an even bigger goal so that he can stay focused and stay growing. What's your favorite Pokemon, and what's your least favorite? My favorite is probably Oddish. You can even see it on my keychain here, and the story behind that is kind of funny, because way back when I first got Pokemon Red, a family friend actually tricked me into giving them my Bulbasaur for their Oddish. But I ended up loving that Oddish and raising it into a level 100 Vileplume that I always kept on my team, so Oddish is pretty cool if you ask me. As for my least favorite Pokemon right now, it's gotta be Snorlax, all thanks to that super annoying control deck in the Pokemon TCG. Speaking of Snorlax, sometimes I do wish I was a Snorlax just to catch some extra sleep, and that's because most new parents are lucky to get even 4 hours of interrupted sleep at night. And believe me, our girl has been going through something called sleep regression lately, so her mom is lucky to get 1 to 2 hours of sleep without getting woken up. Basically, as new Poke parents, sleep is a precious treasure and you need to make every single hour count. So here's the good news. Today's video is brought to you by Manta Sleep. Cause believe me, I've been using sleeping masks for years, but most normal sleep masks just don't block all the light. Not to mention that they put pressure on your eyes, and even worse, some of them give you pimples. On the other hand, we've got Manta Sleep, which fixes all of those problems with their super comfy and breathable 100% blackout sleep masks. And while I think their Bluetooth Manta Sound Sleep mask is an absolutely epic choice for people who want to drift to sleep with relaxing music, or ASMR sounds, or their meditation app, I personally went for their best-selling Manta Pro Sleep mask. Since 1, I like it quiet when I'm heading to sleep, and 2, it is just unbeatable for side sleepers. The mask is easy to adjust, it's highly breathable, and it's got this nice premium feel. And I love the C-shaped eye cups since they put zero pressure on your eyelids or eyelashes even when you're on your side. So I'm wearing the Manta Pro sleep mask all the time at night and during naps. Next I want to try out their cool eye cups and their steam eye cups, and you deserve a good night's sleep too. So hit the link in the description and use the code CHADUSHADU for 10% off your order. And with that said, thank you to Manta Sleep for sponsoring this video. Long time no see. What's your favorite Pokemon mystery? I'm a huge fan of Pokemon mysteries and legends, and there are just so many I could dive into. For example, the ghost girls from the video games, or the giant Dragonite at Bill's lighthouse in the anime. But since we're talking about Bill, here's an urban legend from Pokemon Red and Blue that you might not know about. Bill's Secret Garden. Basically, in the original Pokemon games, you can see what looks like a path heading north from Bill's house near Cerulean City, but there's actually no way to reach it. So back then, people started thinking it led to some kind of secret area. That secret area became known as Bill's Secret Garden, and rumors spread that if you completed all kinds of crazy tasks, you could get into the garden and catch rare Pokemon like Mew, Marill, or even the game's starters. Like the famous Mew truck rumor, it sounds crazy, but back in the day when most of us didn't even have the internet at home, these rumors just didn't get debunked very quickly, so they spread like wildfire at school, and everyone had a crackpot theory on how to get into Bill's Secret Garden, and the craziness lasted for months. Eventually, someone did hack the game to find out that the path doesn't actually lead anywhere, but it's still one of my favorite mysteries from the early days. Should Pokemon go back to being 2D and using anime graphics? Doing that can help save memory size to have extra fun gameplay features. The generations 1 to 4 art styles and character designs are the best, and people can recognize the series as Pokemon. Personally, I'd love to see another main series Pokemon game in 2D or in a style like Octopath Traveler, because it would just look amazing with today's technology. Not to mention that I think that up until Black and White, the games just had such a charming look. But after the shift to 3D with X and Y, the environments in particular just don't hit the same. And maybe that's because we filled in so many blanks with our imaginations in the 2D games, but I'd still love it if, for example, the Black and White remakes brought back some of that 2D magic. Which did the kid choose, red, blue, or green? And here we've got a bunch of questions about Pokemon Horizons, but to be honest, since things really hit the fan this summer in more ways than one, for once I'm actually way behind on the anime. From what I saw, I liked the direction it was heading in, especially now that it's tying the anime's original plotline into the best parts of the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet video games, so I'll have to let you know after I catch up. Do you think that we'll get another brand new protagonist after Liko for the 30th anniversary of the Pokemon anime? Unless they open up some kind of new storyline for Liko and Roy, the main plotline of Pokemon Horizons looks like it'll probably wrap up in a year or year and a half or so, and right now I think it's pretty likely that they'll change up the characters. Especially since Liko hasn't been around all that long, if this is what they want to do, then now is probably the best time to start cycling heroes with each generation like in Pokemon Adventures. So if they do bring Liko's story to a satisfying conclusion, it would be cool to see what they do with the new generation of heroes. What do you prefer out of the Pokemon games or anime, and why? That's a tough question, but I'd probably have to say the anime thanks to the story and world building, but I also love the video games, particularly a lot of the spin-offs and the TCG, since they're just so much fun to play together with friends. Congrats on being a dad and bringing your child up on good literature. My question would probably be, how's life been to you for the last few months, and what shows, games, and books have you enjoyed watching, playing, and reading? Have a good week. Well, life's been pretty crazy, and as for my entertainment life, this year it's been divided into 2 parts, pre-baby and post-baby. Can you guess which is which? So even though Weiwei and I haven't watched any shows together since Project Codename Magby kicked off, I did watch Free Ren alone this spring, and I also watched the Spice and Wolf remake with my brother in summer. If you like slow pacing and good world building, then I think you'll probably love both of those shows. As for games, we slammed Hogwarts Legacy, Final Fantasy 16, and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth back in winter, and as much as I love the original FF7, I have to be honest with you that I actually enjoyed Final Fantasy 16 a lot more than Reborn. Reborn is a great game, but it just has so much padding, especially since they're stretching the remake into 3 games, which really messes up the original game's pacing if you ask me. Since then, the only game I've played is Pokemon TCG, if that counts, but on the other hand, I did start reading every night before bed about a month ago, and I'm already on the 2nd book of Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn trilogy. It's got a super cool magic system and a pretty unique world, so I highly recommend it if you're looking for a new fantasy story. Anyways, I'd love to hear what shows, games, and books all of you guys are into these days, so please let me know. And the last question, how's life been treating you? Well, life has sure had its ups and downs this year, but even when times are tough, I have my wife, my family, my daughter, my big personal goals, and so much to say thank you for. And that includes you, so thank you for watching this video, have a great day, and we'll talk again soon.